Well, from the ad hoc committee, let's take you to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry now. Brian Mokgotsi is set to return to the inquiry this morning for his second stint at giving evidence. He had a bruising first encounter as he faced questions over his access to inside police information. Mokgotsi's name first came into prominence when KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi revealed his alleged links with Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. Let's take you live to my colleague. Ziyanda Ngcobo is live to us from the Bridget Mabandla Justice College. And bruising indeed, that first sitting of Brian Mokgotsi's evidence was, Ziyanda. In fact, he was branded by the commission, by the evidence leader, as a professional liar.
Absolutely, and he's already had to walk back on some of the claims that he's made, so probably maybe proving Matthew Chaskilson right about being a professional liar insofar as the claim that he made that the KZN top cop Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi and AmaZulu King Misuzulu Kazwelithini were CIA agents. He since apologized at Parliament's ad hoc committee and saying that this is simply not true. So one wonders how many other allegations that Mokgotsi has made that are not true. You'll recall that he claimed to have traveled to Kenya to go meet with a CIA agent that runs agents throughout the SADC region about the people that this so-called man was handling, in particular here in South Africa. There was also the claim that Mokgotsi made that he works for crime intelligence and that part of his duties included getting close to Vusimuzi Cat Matlala in order to get information regarding this 360 million rand tender. And how he did it was that Mokgotsi claimed to have a very close relationship with the suspended police minister, Senzo Mchunu, and it seemed Mokgotsi was taking money from Matlala, pretending as if this was to assist with Mchunu's internal ANC presidential campaign. And when Matlala realized that this is someone who's not going to be able to assist, because you'll recall that after News 24 reported on the irregularities, 4 days later, Senzo Mchunu cancelled. He actually requested the National Police Commissioner, that being Fani Masemola, to look into irregularities, and 4 days later this was cancelled. So that clearly came undone. But there are several instances where Mokgotsi claims that there was a meeting between Matlala and Mkhwanazi where he claims that Mkhwanazi took money. In fact, he claims Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, Fani Masemola, and Shedrick Sibia and former police minister Bheki Cele have all taken money from Vusimuzi Cat Matlala in their so-called efforts to assist with this tender. He told the story of how Matlala traveled to Durban and that he used an Uber driver to be his spotter, to monitor the movements of Matlala, who landed at King Shaka International, traveled to his hotel, and then went to a house in Mhlanga, which Mokgotsi claims belongs to the KZN Police Commissioner. There was also the allegation that Mokgotsi made that there was a plot being hatched by Mkhwanazi and the crime intelligence boss Dumisani Khumalo against, General Khan, Feroz Khan. And so there's many allegations that Mokgotsi has made. Whether or not there's been evidence to back this up is something else altogether. But you'll recall last week, Michelle, that there was supposed to be a crime intelligence colonel that was going to appear before this inquiry. And we understand that this is one of the co-handlers or purported co-handlers of Brian Mokgotsi. But unfortunately, we didn't get to hear that testimony because they called in sick.
Yeah, and we know how that unfolded at the commission with particularly Commissioner Baloyi pointing out that this might be a strategy used by people to avoid coming before the commission. You know, this theme of lying, Ziyanda, is going to be an interesting one, because one of the issues that evidence leader Matthew Chaskilson brought up is that Brian Mokgotsi obviously believes, and I think he said as much, that if necessary for the so-called mission, that he would even go as far as to lie under oath if he believed that that was part of his mission as a covert agent. I wonder how the commission is going to deal with that and deal with his evidence in that context.
Well, this is why then the evidence and testimony of this particular colonel from crime intelligence was going to be so crucial, because one, they were going to be able to confirm whether or not Brown Mokgotsi is indeed an official or someone that works as an agent for crime intelligence. Two, what exactly is their role? Did it include getting close to someone like Vusimuzi Kat Matlala and actually trying to get information from him? But also the other people that were implicated in this include the former police minister. You'll recall that Bheki Cele had told the ad hoc committee that he didn't know who Kat Matlala was until he had actually left the ministry. But Brown Mokgotsi came to this commission of inquiry and said that this was not true, because you'll recall, Michelle, that another issue that Mokgotsi had to respond to is how and why he had access to classified information that only top South African Police Service generals would have, including the minutes of a meeting that Cele formed part of in 2018, in which the character named John Wick was unveiled as Vusimuzi Kat Matlala. There's Jeremy Michaels telling us that we're ready to begin.
And in walk Commissioners Baloyi, Madlanga and Khumalo for the 9:30 start on the nose for the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry.
Good morning, Mr. Shaskalson.
Morning, Chair. Today's witness was going to be Mr. Mokgotsi, and although he's already testified extensively here and in Parliament, there were several important topics that we wanted to canvass with him, which haven't yet been canvassed either before here or Parliament. Unfortunately, this morning we received a message from Mr. Mokgotsi saying that he is ill, and he has undertaken to get us a medical certificate in the course of the day. It's a very unfortunate situation. I would ask that we don't take any final decisions about how to respond to it until we've had the opportunity of looking at the medical certificate that he's assured me will come through later today. And in that regard, I should place on record that hitherto Mr. Mokgotsi has honoured every undertaking that he's made to me in relation to delivering statements, appearing and cooperating. And we have been told that he will get a medical certificate to us as soon as he has returned from a doctor in the course of the day. I mean, he is in default, but before deciding how to respond, I'd ask that we wait for the medical certificate that has been promised. Sorry, Chair, there is another fact that I should place on record, which is when Mr. Mokgotsi previously appeared before this commission, he was legally represented, but he is no longer legally represented. He'll be appearing in person without representation when he does appear.
Thank you, Mr. Shaskalson. But for your request, our idea was to say at present and until we have a medical certificate, Mr. Mokgotsi is in contempt, and our idea when we discussed the matter amongst the three of us was to say, because he is in contempt from where we are sitting, we are going to have the Commission initiate the necessary legal processes against him. It is purely because of the request that you have made that we will not immediately have those processes initiated. We will stand the matter down until Wednesday morning at 9:30. Of course, that is not for Mr. Mokgotsi to testify because another witness is scheduled to testify on Wednesday morning. Standing it down for Wednesday morning will be for purposes of considering what we should do about the fact that he is not here today.
Thank you, Chair.
Shouldn't please advise what's happening tomorrow?
Tomorrow or Wednesday. I understand that tomorrow we were not going to sit.
Yes.
Due to an unavailability issue. So
Yes.
On Wednesday.
Yeah, I think let me just put it on record that that's because one of us is not available tomorrow, so we cannot sit.
On Wednesday, General Shabiri will be testifying.
Yes. Thank you. Let's adjourn until 9:30 on Wednesday then.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, I suppose our breaking news story at this hour, Brown Mokgotsi, the alleged political fixer or self-confessed political fixer meant to appear for his second stint at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning. We're now told by Matthew Chaskelson, SC, that he has received notice from Mokgotsi that he is unwell and that he will not be appearing before the Commission today as planned. I believe that he was set down for evidence today and tomorrow. Matthew Chaskelson says that Mokgotsi has promised to get a sick note and to provide it to the Commission. Chaskelson also going to lengths to say that Mokgotsi has honoured every other appointment he has had with the Commission to date. Ziyanda Ngobo is our reporter tracking the story, and she's in the room there at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College. Ziyanda, so Brown Mokgotsi, of course, not appearing, delivering a sick note, in writing at least, not a medical note, to the Commission at the 11th hour. But Matthew Chaskelson, I think, just according to what he had to say to Commissioner Madlanga, Justice Madlanga, he says Brown Mokgotsi has honoured every other arrangement he's had with the Commission. I suppose he's asking for a bit of leeway here in the case of the sick note being provided?
Yeah, a bit of grace being granted by the chief evidence leader to Brown Mokgotsi. If you listen to what he said about how Brown Mokgotsi up to date has always honored all the obligations that he had been given or that he had to, comply with insofar as this commission is concerned. And some strong words from the commission chairperson to say that before the plea that was made by Chaskelson, they had made a decision regarding insofar as the discussions amongst themselves that actually Mr. Mokgotsi is in contempt and that they would start instituting the necessary proceedings against him in that particular regard. And so now they're saying that, but the only reason why they're not going to move on that until they get that particular medical note is because of what Mr. Chaskelson has had to say. Also, Chaskelson indicating that Mokgotsi no longer has legal representation, unlike when he appeared in November last year.
So what does that mean, Ziyanda, the fact that he doesn't have legal representation?
Well, it means that he's going to be representing himself, and to a certain extent, it means that he's quite naked insofar as protecting himself in one way or the other. I'm looking to my left, I see Jeremy Michaels. I think he's going to give a briefing of some sort, but our colleagues will also catch that as they set up. You can see our colleague Katlego Ntoerane is setting up, so we will be able to catch that when it does happen. But insofar as what it means for Mr. Mogotsi, well, you would have heard Charles Colson saying that there are certain issues that would have been canvassed, that have not been canvassed rather, with Mr. Mogotsi, and also would not have been canvassed at Parliament's ad hoc committee that they wish to explore with Mr. Mogotsi. So in terms of being covered, insofar as being able to know how to respond is interesting. And what I also find interesting, Michelle, is the fact that his so-called co-handler, the one who was supposed to appear last week, called in sick, and this morning Brown Mogotsi calls in sick. Might just be a coincidence, Michelle, but it's also, one can't help but think that there might be something else that is at play here insofar as certain information that's not supposed to get out, because as one has noted, and I'm sure I won't be admonished for saying this, that Brown Mogotsi is quite chatty and volunteers a lot of information. Whether it's true or not is something else altogether, but certainly, you know, it's an interesting set of developments because, as you even asked earlier, there were questions, well, wasn't Mogotsi done with his testimony? We weren't aware of him actually coming back to the Commission of Inquiry. So what he has to say or what else needs to be canvassed with him is also quite interesting to note.
Yeah, look, I think we've all come to know now through the numerous inquiries we've had in the country that where there is smoke, there is very likely fire. Ziyanda, it is very alarming, I suppose, for the Commission that yet another time someone has been scheduled to testify and then comes at the 11th hour with a sick note. No doubt, I mean, the Madlanga Commission has been clear about this issue of trying to escape giving evidence at the inquiry, with contempt charges now in the works for Brown Mogotsi, that is. There's going to be steps being taken and actually cemented insofar as people appearing before the inquiry.
Absolutely, but I mean, we must be cautious because those contempt charges may not actually stick if he does, you know, bring that medical certificate. I think that is what the Commission chairperson, Mbuyiseni Madlanga, was saying, that was their intention, but because of the plea that Charles Colson moved on the part of Brown Mogotsi, they seem to, well, they will hold off on, they'll hold off on that. So we'll have to see by this afternoon and check in with Jeremy Michaels whether or not that medical certificate arrives on time. And I can see from the corner of my eye that he is about to walk in frame, Michelle. So you'll recall that there's usually myself and Junior Kumalo in the room. And so I'm sure you're going to see him shortly. And that briefing is going to get underway.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
And there's Jeremy Michaels, the spokesperson for the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Let's take you there live.
In contempt, and you're already seeing Justice Madlanga making it clear that those processes will be initiated on Wednesday morning should he not produce that medical certificate. I know you do communicate with the witnesses prior. Was there any indication that this was going to be the case this morning? And of course, the position of the Commission now that they have to institute these very serious processes against a Phase 2 implicated witness.
Good morning, Kenny. I think firstly, as we indicated last week, the Commission is taking very seriously these sick notes and witnesses falling ill at the last minute. Now, to answer your question, Mr. Mogotsi had not until this morning indicated that he is apparently ill. And as you heard, you know, during the brief proceedings this morning, he has indicated to the Chief Evidence Leader, Matthew Chaskolson, SC, that he would be seeking medical attention and furnish the Commission with a medical certificate. That, of course, is very problematic, and I think the judge, Justice Madlanga, did indicate that were it not for the evidence leaders' intervention, and basically Advocate Chaskelson indicated to the Commission that Mr. Mokhotsi has been cooperative thus far, and under those circumstances, he then requested that Mr. Mokhotsi be given the opportunity to consult a doctor, and let's see what comes from that. But I think the commissioners, through Justice Madlanga, have clearly indicated that they are not going to tolerate witnesses, coming up with last-minute illnesses, and they certainly are taking it very seriously, to the extent that, the Commission has the option to find that he is in contempt, and the Commission will deal with that on Wednesday morning, depending on what transpires between now and then. But the Commission does have the option of applying for a warrant of arrest for Mr. Mokhotsi, if that is necessary. So again, this is very serious. The Commission cannot have a situation where witnesses at the last minute fall ill. And in this case, the Commission does not have a medical certificate from Mr. Mokhotsi. So, I think it's very important for us also to re-emphasize the point that we made last week, that there are several options available to the Commission, including subpoenaing medical practitioners who produce illegible, as was the case last week, medical certificates. And we are keeping our options open in that regard.
Jimmy, just from our side as well, in terms of scheduling process here being created, what happens next going forward? Does this now mean that perhaps the Commission may have to extend its deadline? The conversation with the presidency, how far is that? And Mr. Mokhotsi, did he ask the Commission for protection as well, like he did with the ad hoc committee? Was there any requests that he made?
Well, to deal with your last question first, Pule, of course we don't discuss the detail of those security-related matters, so I'm not going to get into that detail. But certainly, on the question of scheduling, no doubt this is another day that is lost to the Commission. Not entirely, because we do have a lot of work. We will use the time that is now available to us, to the Commission, to deal with a number of pressing matters. But without a doubt, it is a day lost in terms of witness testimony, and that, needless to say, has an impact in terms of, the Commission's schedule, because we have a very carefully planned schedule. And when we lose days like this, I think this is the third day that we've lost due to a witness being sick. That does create issues in terms of our planning going forward. On the question of our engagement with the presidency, that is ongoing. But as we have said previously, it's 15 days away from our deadline on our current mandate, 17 March. And there's no doubt that there is going to have to be an adjustment of the Commission's terms of reference in terms of the deadline for our final report. But let's cross that bridge when we get there.
Jeremy, initially you would have wanted the crime intelligence officer who handles informants to come and testify before the Commission before Mr. Brown Mokhotsi. Does this not then work in your favor, that you are going to get that testimony from this individual tomorrow and he's going to testify on Friday, then you will have Brown Mokhotsi coming afterwards?
Well, Junior, I guess that's one way of looking at it. If you and on a serious note, obviously the evidence leaders, the legal team, the investigators, on a daily basis, confer, compare notes, and ensure that they adjust accordingly, which clearly is going to have to be the case here. So whatever advantages there are, we will extract that from the process and the situation that we are dealing with. But first and foremost, we have to deal with this matter that Mr. Mogotsi has not appeared today, has not delivered a sick note, and even if that was the case, we would have scrutinized that sick note as we have said we are going to do. And we are not going to tolerate a situation where witnesses willy-nilly decide that they are sick on the morning of the hearing. But as Advocate Chaskelson indicated, we will give him a chance to produce the sick certificate, and then we will take it from there on Wednesday morning.
For viewer watching, what would it mean for Brown Mogotsi to be in contempt? What does it mean for him to be in contempt?
Well, the Commission would firstly have to find him in contempt and then apply to a competent court for an arrest warrant and have him arrested and brought before the Commission. All right.
All right, thank you
So
very much.
much. That is Jeremy Michaels, the spokesperson of the commission there, just saying that there is that possibility, Michelle, for Brown Mogotsi to be found in contempt of court because, of course, he only announced this morning that he is not feeling well, has not provided a sick note. But also, even when it comes to those sick notes, the commission already, as far as last week, having complaints about some of the sick notes that they've been receiving, saying that a lot of the witnesses are now using that excuse of being allegedly ill to then avoid appearing before this particular commission. So now they're going to take a tougher stance, including the possibility of subpoenaing some of the witnesses' doctors to come before the court and to come before this particular commission and explain the sicknesses that these alleged witnesses are facing. So quite a serious one there, with the commission indicating that there is that possibility that he might be found in contempt and an arrest warrant might be applied for, Michelle.
Junior, quite strong words there from the spokesperson of the Commission, right? Jeremy Michaels telling us that the Commission will not tolerate witnesses coming up with last-minute illnesses. And I think that's the first time we're hearing that Brown Mogotsi alerted the Commission to him apparently being ill only this morning, so certainly at the 11th hour. This is not new, but the Commission may well pursue not only contempt charges against Mogotsi, but as you say, a warrant of arrest and even subpoenaing medical professionals who dish out these sick notes that have come before the Commission previously.
Indeed, Michelle, this is not the first time. We did see last week that one of the crime intelligence officers was supposed to appear before this commission. He is understood to be one of those handlers who was handling Mr. Mogotsi. He was supposed to appear before the commission, but also indicated that he was not feeling well. But the challenge with that particular excuse was that the sick note itself was not eligible, so they couldn't even read what was written on it, and it did not appear that it was a doctor who had signed off on that particular sick note. So that's when the commission started taking a tougher stance when it comes to these alleged sick notes, saying that now they might as well just try and subpoena some of those doctors to bring them before this particular commission so that they explain themselves in terms of how they are awarding these particular sick notes. So quite strong words they issued by the spokesperson of the commission. But we did hear earlier on the evidence leader saying that as much as Mr. Mogotsi has appeared before this particular commission and the ad hoc committee, they were still some questions that they haven't canvassed with him. So that's why they wanted him to appear before the Madlanga Commission. So for now, we are going to only hear on Wednesday how the Commission is going to deal with Mr. Mogotsi and if he is indeed going to submit a sick note or not, Michelle.
Yeah, obviously the inevitable question becomes the scheduling of the Commission of Inquiry, Junior. We know that it's a very tight schedule. Jeremy Michaels reminding us that the Commission has about 15 days of work left now before its deadline. This is a question that we've asked Jeremy Michaels and the presidency over time, but it's becoming clearer now, Junior, that the Commission will certainly need some kind of extension if not an extension, at least for its final report to be submitted to the President?
Indeed, only 15 days left. The Commission is expected to finish all of the testimony by the 16th of March. So quite truncated periods of time that it has to canvass all of the testimony that still needs to be worked on. As Mr. Mokhotsi has not appeared before this Commission, he still needs to appear. That crime intelligence officer still needs to appear before this particular Commission. Witness F still needs to come back to this particular Commission. But also quite importantly, Michelle, we still haven't heard from the likes of Vusomuzi Ket Matlala as well as Gatiso Molefe. These are individuals that seem to be at the center of all of these allegations. When it comes to that disbandment of the political killings task team, the allegation is that the Minister, Senzo Mchunu, as well as the Deputy Commissioner, Mr. Sibia, all of them did this to try and protect these particular individuals. So there is that expectation that, of course, this Commission has to call these individuals back. But not only that, also the Minister has to come back and answer. Mr. Sibia himself did not complete his testimony because he indicated that he needs his devices that were confiscated by that political killings task team in October last year. He needs those devices before he can complete his testimony before this committee. The Commission saying that he should be given those devices. So all of that still needs to happen before this Commission completes its work. So we did hear Mr. Jeremy Michael saying that that conversation with the presidency is still ongoing, and they are definitely trying to get an extension, Michelle.
All right, Junior Khumalo, Ziyanda Ngcobo as well there.